Good day everyone. I am Risa Rose Apistarberto, together with Jen Nietes. To be discussed to you, our topic, it is about new criticism. What comes in your mind when you hear about new criticism? Or can I ask you a question? How do you want people to judge you? Based on what they heard about you? Or based on they actually heard it from you, the way you interact with them? I know some of us wants to judge people based on their own words and action. It is because we people intended to judge people the way they're personal, no? Let's learn about new criticism today. Okay, we have objectives in this topic, so let's hear it. Objectives. In this topic, students can explain the concepts of new criticism and its origin. Students can construct proper analysis in new criticism with the use of suggested readings, present a written text, present examples of a media, literature, or movie. So, after this last topic, I can ask you to construct and explain about the new criticism. If you will listen, you will know and you can learn a lot. So, definition and origin of new criticism. According to new criticism, we should judge the book the same way, rather than worrying about the author's background or our own opinion or reactions to the book. We should evaluate works based only on the text itself. So, when we read about the book, sometimes we hear that words, don't judge the book by its cover. No, maybe because we should evaluate or judge the book the same way, because in new criticism, it's focusing on the text. We ignore about the author's background, author's intention to us about their book. Then we only evaluate book by its text, no? Because since we're dealing with the text, we'd be going what's called a close reading, which requires taking apart text and looking its individual elements such as theme, setting, plot, and structure. So, amo to siya, new criticism, mag-focus na sa text, ignore the author's background, ignore the author's our reader's reaction. So, new criticism is only focusing on the text or the language of the book or piece that we read. Okay, let's proceed. So, example, prior to the 1920s, literary criticism took a largely historical slant. To understand the text, critics often look to its historical background and the history of the language used in the text. No? Before 1920s, literary criticism took a largely historical slant. But in 1929, a literary critic at Cambridge by the name of Ivor Armstrong Richards published Practical Criticism. 1929, so amat-amat na na-publish ni Ivor Richards. Una niya nga i-publish kay ang Practical Criticism. Then, his book reported on an experiment that involved people reading and responding to a poem without knowing who the authors were, no? And then, Richard was interested in why people responded to this poem the way they did. In 1939, Richards began teaching at Harvard and influenced a new American literary theory. No, ang pass go by 1939 na sa Richards, nag-start na siya ng tudlo sa Harvard, tapos na-influence din ang mga American literary theory. Then after 2 years, John Crow Ransom, an English professor at Kenyon College, published New Criticism. So, ang nag-publish ang New Criticism kay si John Crow Ransom, ang isa siya ka-professor sa Kenyon College. Then, the new book's title was applied to this young method of examining text. New criticism went on to become a popular method of literary analysis throughout the middle of 20th century. So, dito na gid sa 20th century, na-apply na kitang method nga new criticism, no? Amo na to siyang we should focus on the text and the language only of the book, or what we read, or on what we watch. Then, what exactly do new critics do? Ano nga ba ang ginagawa, no? In focusing on the text itself, new critics intentionally ignore the authors and the readers. So, sa new criticism, ang tawag sa aton is new critics na kita, no? So, ang aton himuon kay only nga intention gid naton siya nga i-ignore ang author's background and the reader, kita nga reader. So, focus lang gid ta sa aton nga ang sa words nga aton nga ginabasa, balahaw don't, syempre ang don't amo lang dito, di ka na maghambal, hindi mo na i-expand bala sa imong una ko ano ba ang gusto sang author, sino yung good sina. Then according to intentional fallacy, it's impossible to determine an author's reasons for writing a text without directly asking him or her. And even if we did determine the author's intention, they don't matter. So, because the text itself carries its own value. So, even if we're reading a book by a renowned author like Shakespeare, we shouldn't let the author's reputation taint our evaluation of the text, no? For example, I have example here. If a 5-year-old draw a picture of a cat, but I thought it looked more like a horse, I can't judge the picture on the 5-year-old's intention for it to be a cat. Yes, tama gid siya kay 5 years old. 5-year-olds don't even know how to draw properly, no? So, that's why, if ever na makita ko siya, na look like siya sa horse, of course, I can judge it like a horse talaga, no? Because I don't know what 5 years old wanted. I don't know what 5 years old intention to draw that, no? So, intentional fallacy, no? Intention tagit siya nga i-ignore ang author's background, no? As a new critics. Then, next, similarly, affective fallacy claims that we shouldn't waste time thinking about the effect a text may have on the reader. Because when we're polluting the text with our own personal baggage, so we should ignore how beautiful a poem may be or our reaction to an emotional novel. If we give in to our emotional reaction, we're less able to evaluate the text objectively. Because it's a new criticism. Sa text lang tamag evaluate. So, madula na bala ang aton nga maayon ta nga pag-evaluate kay aton nga siya nga gina appeal kung aton nga i-appeal ang author's intention for that novel, no? Then, besides, authors and readers, new critics would also argue that text, historical, and cultural context are also irrelevant. Yes, tama. Because before, you know, hindi man gid ang historical and cultural context kay pirmi tama. So, may ibang nga irrelevant. That's why nga new critics nag-argue sila may mga biases ba lang ang nagatabo. So, for example, even if we're looking at such culturally significant texts, such as Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, we should avoid the temptation to read as an anti-slavery novel. Instead, we should read it to see how the novel's elements, such as its setting and theme, work together to produce a unified whole text. That's correct, kid. Kay if we allow authors in sa new criticism lang niya kay the focus siya sa text, so hindi ginaton ano tawag kani i-appeal ang author's background or ang iyang intention, then appeal po ang reader ang iyang emotion. So new criticism is only focusing on the text itself, and that's why we have the close reading na ginatawag. So I hope you learned a lot today. The text that we have here is to be discussed to us by Jean Nietes. So thank you, and if you have any clarification and question, you can message me, and I am open with my messenger. So, and I hope you learn a lot, and I hope even a little bit you learn from me. And thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
So good day, class. Today, the topic that I'm going to discuss is all about the text of New Criticism, entitled The Green Eggs and Ham. The story revolves around the conflict between an unnamed protagonist and Sam. The plot occurs in two main acts. In the first act, Sam tries to convince the protagonist to eat green eggs and ham in a variety of circumstances, despite the protagonist's constant refusal. In the second act, the protagonist declares his love of green eggs and ham, and he says he would eat them in any of all the circumstances Sam has previously proposed. So, the nga story is si Sam, ginaofera niya ang and names nga mag-eat sang grand eggs and ham. Tapos, tanan nga pamaagi is gibuhat niya na para lang mapakaon niya si and name sang katong green eggs and ham. Pero tanan wala na appreciate ni and name. Tapos tanan gi-refuse niya. Pero sa last part sang story is feel ko daw na konsensya si and name, tapos na-realize niya na na-realize niya nga tama po itong gibuhat ni Sam nga ginaoferan siya sang pagkaon. Tapos the last is tong gi-offer niya ang gi-offer liwat ni Sam ang pagkaon is gi-accept na ni and name. Tapos amo to sang makatilaw na siya sa tong the green eggs and ham, nakahambal siya nga gusto niya daw magkaon sa to. Tapos gusto niya daw kaunon sa different nga place or settings nga tong gi-offeran siya ni Sam, which is sa boat, sa goat, sa rain and train. Tapos giganahan siya, tapos hambal niya salamat daw kay kay namit daw ang the green eggs and ham. So we'll proceed the movie of new criticism entitled Aquaman. Once home, the most advanced civilization on Earth, the city of Atlantis is now an underwater kingdom ruled by the power-hungry king Orm. With a vast army at his disposal, Orm plans to conquer the remaining oceanic people and then the surface world. Standing in his way is Aquaman, Orm's half-human, half-Atlantean, brother of true heir to the throne, with help from royal councilor Volko. Aquaman must retrieve the legendary trident of Atlantan and embrace his destiny as protector of the deep. So, the ring story is ara si Tom Curry, which is papa ni Aquaman, tapos ang mama niya is Atlantna. Tapos nakita ni Tom si Atlantna nga wala siya sang buhay, tapos nakita niya sa binit sang dagat. Tapos paghuman gidala niya siya sa balay nila. Tapos pagkabuhi na ni Atlanta is natingala siya nga ara siya sa balay, tapos wala siya sa dagat. Tapos paghuman nakakita siya sa mga baso, mga ido, natingala siya. Tapos nakakita siya sa mga tinapay. Tapos gipreparan siya ni Tom sang pagkaon. Tapos nakatilaw siya sa mga pagkaon sang tao. Tapos natingala siya. Tapos